Alright, I think we got it this time. Couldn't get the camera to not be focused on the stereo. Alright, good morning everyone. Hope everyone had a good holiday yesterday. My name is Alan here with the PT on Ice Daily Show. Here at ICE I serve as the COO, and on Thursday sometimes we talk about organizational development and leadership. Coming at you from the mobile studio. Actually a really nice view behind me there. I got the door open, so mainly because it's 88 degrees already here in Michigan and I'm dying inside the black Jeep here. Today we're going to talk about prior planning prevents poor performance. Something you may have heard before, a concept that I was introduced to in the Army, basically how you can never overplan. I was going to talk about something different today, and then I had a crazy life situation happen that kind of reinforced this concept to me this week. I got a text Monday morning that said, hey, everything is going forward with selling your house. You need to come to Ann Arbor, which is about 90 minutes from where I live and work, and sign the closing paperwork tomorrow, and then be out of the house before Friday morning or the deal's off, which is frantic, to say the least. I was thinking, if I hadn't planned for this worst case scenario, that things would accelerate faster than I had planned for with selling my house, then I would have been in trouble. And luckily it worked out. I had been planning for a while. I had already kind of gone through and thrown out stuff I didn't really need, and donated old clothes and all that stuff, and had started to pack stuff up so that when I got home Monday from clinic, it only took me a few hours to pack up the rest of my stuff, and then rearrange my schedule on Tuesday, go down, get the paper signed, and then took me about an hour to load up my stuff Tuesday night, and now all my stuff is in a U-Haul parked in Mitch Babcock's parking lot for the next couple days, until I can move into my new place Saturday morning. So even though it could have been a disastrous situation, planning, a lot of planning ahead of time saved me a lot of work in the beginning and in the end, and really paid off. And so I want to talk about a couple concepts regarding planning and over-planning, under-planning, and kind of the start of, Nick, I'm staying in Mitch's guest room, which is where he does PT on Ice from, so it's kind of weird. I don't know if he'll do it Friday from there. That'll be weird because that'll be my bedroom technically. Anyways, I want to talk about a couple concepts with planning. The first thing I want to talk about is if you listen to a lot of business and entrepreneur podcasts or books, Gary Vee, that sort of thing. Something really common, Seth Godin, something really common that people just love to yell out is, get off the X, this concept of get off the X, which I'll talk about in a second, how that's been misappropriated terribly. Or you may have heard just launch it, or just ship it, or MVP, minimal viable product, just get something out there and kind of tweak it on the go, which works in some cases, but not all cases, and I think it's absolutely terrible advice to just give out to everyone at once when people are asking for advice about launching their own business, starting their own business, opening their own clinic. It's not applicable at all to every single organization or business. Get off the X is actually a military term that means get off the objective once all of your goals have been met. So if the mission is to go in and capture a bad guy, once you've captured the bad guy, that's when someone yells get off the X, and that means to get off the objective, return to base, follow through with the exfil plan. It doesn't mean just go and worry about the details and the consequences later, which is kind of what that's evolved into, unfortunately. What you don't see before somebody yells get off the X is that there are hours, days, weeks, months of training to know what those goals look like once you've accomplished the mission and you need to get off the X. And no mission, however small or unimportant, has no planning before it. I think most people will be surprised at how much planning goes into even the smallest and shortest things as far as the military goes. My first deployment to Iraq, we literally did the same thing every day. We got in our trucks and we escorted a supply convoy about 800 miles. We stayed at a base and we did the same thing going back, and we just did that back and forth every single day for a year. And every single time before the mission, we practiced what we call rock drills. If truck 3 gets taken out, what does truck 2 do? What does truck 4 do? All of that planning goes into it every single time. And that prior planning is what prevents poor performance if something were to happen. And that happens every single time. You have to do the planning. You can't just yell, get off the X and quit your job and open up a business. No matter how small the task, you still need to do the planning. And the just launch it, just ship it, the MVP concepts, those come from industries that aren't really related to PT. People love to reference the iPhone when they talk about just, if you're thinking about opening a business, just do it. Just launch your business. Apple shipped the iPhone. It didn't even have a calculator, and look at them. And what they don't talk about is that Apple had already existed for 20 years and was a billion-dollar company. And if the iPhone hadn't been successful, Apple would probably still exist today because all of their life savings wasn't on the iPhone. They certainly wouldn't be as successful, but they wouldn't have gone under. They were already a well-established company, and they had the capital to gain or lose on the iPhone, as do a lot of those other tech industries. Those folks don't usually have their own money invested into that company. They usually have angel investors or a lot of capital invested otherwise, which is not what we see in physical therapy when someone is thinking about opening on their own clinic or trying to get inside of a CrossFit gym or something like that. So keep that in mind when you read those books by Gary Vee and Seth Godin, that they're not directly translatable like that. You have to do the planning every time, like I just talked about. Being frustrated with your job or how long your commute is not enough of a reason to walk into the clinic, quit, and open your own business. You have to do the market research. You have to understand the area that you're trying to open a business in or get into, and you have to define what success looks like for you. If you're opening a combination CrossFit, PT clinic, gym in a town of 500 people, is it going to be wildly successful? Maybe. You're going to have to get a lot of the town to buy into it to be so, unless your definition of success is different. Is your definition of success being able to pay all the bills of the clinic and generate a 6-figure income? That looks a lot different than, I just want this place to be self-sufficient and I'll work a second job to pay my bills and student loans, right? Those are two different scenarios. But you need to do that planning, you need to do that market research, you have to understand what your goals are and what your objectives are, and you always have to be reevaluating those. Something Jeff and I do a lot is consult with different clinics, and we run into a surprising amount that have no idea what their definition of success is. They may be looking to sell their clinic. They've been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years. They have no idea what success looks like or what they value their company at, and that's something you need to always be looking at and reevaluating. Another concept is that you should always plan for failure. It's kind of negative, I know. Here we like to be really positive. No nocebos, Justin Dunaway, share the good news, that sort of thing. But by continually planning for nightmare scenarios, you are rarely surprised when things go wrong. There's a great book and podcast called Chasing Excellence by Ben Bergeron. Ben is a CrossFit coach, very successful CrossFit coach up at CrossFit New England. He has coached and continues to coach some of the highest performers in CrossFit, people that have gone to the CrossFit Games, people that have won the CrossFit Games, just really high-level athletes. And he talks a little bit about CrossFit and nutrition and that sort of stuff, but what I get from his book and from his podcasts more are leadership advice, basically. And that the main thing that he talks about is he has all of his athletes plan for nightmare scenarios, and they drill them kind of in a military-like fashion. What will you do if your alarm clock doesn't go off? the day of the CrossFit Games? What will you do if your flight gets canceled? How will you handle all of these different scenarios? And you need to have that in effect. And we kind of do that a little bit in PT. That kind of sounds like the origination of a policies and procedures manual, like what to do in the case of a tornado. But you need to have all of that stuff thought of and a plan for it. What if we go an entire month without a new eval? What will that mean for our bottom line? That sort of thing. You have to plan for those worst case scenarios. And the final thing I'll say is, and it might seem kind of negative, but it's something, especially Jeff hears on a daily basis, is kind of the poor outcome of jumping and launching it and shipping it when it goes wrong. Jeff hears a lot from people who haven't been successful opening their own business, and I think that's part in reason because it's important to not listen to people who haven't actually done what they're telling you to do, or they haven't been successful at it, or they've done it in a drastically different context. Opening a clinic today looks so much different than opening a clinic 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we had a class in school, business PT, where we were walked through how to take out $1 million bank loan and open your own clinic and hire 4 PTs and have a $200,000 equipment budget. And that is not that was PT 20 or 30 years ago. That is not going to happen today for most people. Most students are coming out with so much student loan debt that a bank will just laugh at you hysterically. Like, you'll be lucky to get a $500 credit card, right? That version of launching it from 20 or 30 years ago looks very different from today, and it's important to attach yourself and follow people who are doing it currently in the current context, because that's where you'll have success, not following what people have done many years before. I think that's yeah, exactly, Nick. Put it on my tab. And that's the main reason why we launched Sarah Haran's class, Out of Network Step by Step, to take people through week by week opening your own out of network cash-based practice from somebody who has been successful doing it in the past couple years, somebody that has a super long waiting list, somebody who's dialed in on her marketing, and someone who has done it very recently and been successful with it. That's why we've launched that class, because we see it going wrong across the country in a lot of different scenarios. So that's, literally a course correction from us, right? We see where it's going, and we wanted to offer that help to those that want it. So prior planning prevents poor performance. Ignore the hype. Don't get caught up in the emotional aspect of launching it, shipping it, getting out the MVP, getting off the X. Do the planning every single time, no matter how big or small your objective is or your task. Plan for failure from the start so that you're not surprised by bumps in the road. And follow and listen to people who are actually being successful in what you want to be successful in, and who have done it in the recent past. Yeah, that's it. So, upcoming courses, busy summer. Next weekend, Justin will be in Marietta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, with Total Spine Thrust. Eric will be in Las Vegas. Be careful, those of you going out to Las Vegas. Eric will be in Las Vegas that same weekend for extremity management. July 21st and 22nd, Justin will be in Blacksburg, Virginia, again for Total Spine Thrust. And then the last weekend of the month, I'll be up here in Fenton, Michigan with Mitch for Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete, the live seminar at CrossFit Tuebor West. And Jeff will be down in Munster, Indiana for Cervical Spine Management. So we hope to see you this summer. I hope this helps talking about planning in order to prevent poor performance. If you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them here or email me, info@ice.physio. Have a wonderful day. Hope you guys get some downtime this week with the holiday and spend some time with friends and family. I don't, but that's the way it goes, right? So have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you next time.